keep working on the Astrodoodle. Okay, so, oh, I gotta catch up with the chat. Hold on a minute. Wait. Give me a second here. What is going on? Okay, hold on. Necessary Truth, good evening. Esther, good evening. Love Driver, good evening. Oh, cheers, everybody. Yes, it's a pretty colorful doodle as the Astrodoodles go. Necessary Truth, you finally got a notification. Oh my God. Well, that's stunning. Maybe it needs some moon and gold star stickers. Ooh, stickers. Oh my God. Okay, and some color forms. Where did those go? I loved them. I don't remember those. Sorry, I don't remember color forms. Esther's birthday is this month, 29th of August. That's a Virgo, I believe. Well, 73 years young. Oh, you're just a sprite. Yes. Cheers, yeah. Happy birthday, Love Traveler Esther. Today is Path Traveler's birthday. That's right. 13th of August. May you have a blessed solar return. That's for you, Esther. Love Traveler. Love Traveler is asking, NT, did you read Path Traveler's obituary? Well, I read it. It was beautiful. That was a big red thingamaggy. Okay. It was well done and gave us a slight glimpse into her connections to all of us and her family. Necessary truths. She's standing right next to me right now. You're getting the chills. We love you, Nadine. Hello, Mr. Ross. Good evening. Good evening, Nagar M. Hello. Necessary truth. How can you ask Nadine to join John and Chris? Interesting. Will you ask a question? Yes, Nagar, let me... Gregory Ross, you want to read the obituary? Okay, well, I'll make sure you get a copy, okay? Or maybe Necessary can send it, or Love Tribe, or whoever. Anyway, you'll get a copy. It's just beautiful. I only just got it myself. So let me go over here a second. I just want to say hello to everybody. Good evening. This is TarotLumination. It's Sunday night, 13th of August, 2023, and Esther's birthday is coming up soon, and it is the birthday of Path Traveler right now. Some of you know that Path Traveler passed away just over a week ago, and she has moved on completely to the other side, and she is, as would be expected, she is her dazzling, charming, feisty self, as beautiful as ever. She left a big impression on all of us here, and it looks like she's still doing it. Oh. Nagar, I'm in. Will you answer? Yes, here. Well, Nagar, if you've never been here before, I run a little... I do these mini readings with tarot readings, and I do astrology in the background on Sunday nights, and it's all by donation. Typically I do donations, and it works like this. I'll show you. First of all, if you've already got a PayPal account and you're used to doing online shopping, you can just send PayPal money direct to my email address here, a little book about at yahoo.com. Okay, a little book about at yahoo.com. If you don't have your own PayPal, it doesn't matter, because what you can do if you want to, you can go actually perhaps on another device. Okay, so Nagar, on another device, maybe a tablet or a smartphone or something, whatever you're not watching the show on, you can go to TarotLumination.com and you can click the donate page. There's a donate button. Click the button. It brings up a payment processor, which actually goes to PayPal, but you can use a credit or debit card. All you have to do is scroll down and select the option to donate with a card. That's it. It's just like online shopping. But anyway, that's sort of how it works here, and we'll see how it goes. I don't have any bookings tonight at the moment already. Let me just check something here, and I will keep everybody informed. Well, right now we don't have any bookings for any readings. So so Gregory just showed up. Good evening, Gregory. And Ivona just showed up. Hello, Ivona. Okay. She's going to be here to haunt us. Woo! Yeah, Path Traveler. So let's have a look over here. All right, so Nagar, there was a time where I used to do like lucky draws and free readings. I don't know if I'll ever do it again, and somebody would get a free reading. I also do very very like concentrated private personal readings if you're interested as well. And you don't have to do it live on the show. Some people freak out when they get a reading live on the show and they think, oh my God, I've just revealed my whole personal life in public. Okay, so also let me go back and show you, Nagar, just in case you're interested. You can go to TarotLumination.com, and there's another place where you can book a reading, you can connect with me directly, and so on by email, okay? So those are the kind of options right now. Let's just see how we go. We just started the show. I've just finished making the Astrodoodle. Everyone's chattering away amongst themselves. And we'll see how things go from here. Nagar M. Is that from India? The continent of India? I'm just curious. I like to know, people's locations and things. It's fun for me because I like maps and stuff like that. So, some of you, I know myself and a few others here on the channel, we've been noticing. Let me go to the chart here while I'm doing this. Now, I haven't emphasized it very strongly, but right now what I am noticing personally in my world is this axis here. This is the Virgo Pisces axis, the 6th house, 12th house opposition, and it's been oscillating like this for a while, especially recently as Mercury and Mars have been transiting through Virgo in the 6th house. And at the same time, as it goes through that transit, Mercury and Mars are moving much, much quicker than Saturn and Neptune. So what happened is, over the last few weeks, we've had these very acute oppositions between Mercury, Mars over here, opposing Saturn and Neptune over here. It was very heavy emphasis on Saturn, and now we've moved on to Neptune. So with that opposition here, I noticed a real amplification in the subject of disease, sickness, poor health, tragedy, failure, losses of all kinds around the world and in the personal world. And it's happening here. I've been surrounded. I feel pretty lucky. I don't really have much sickness inside of me at the moment. I had a cold, almost 2 weeks ago, roughly at the same time that passed away. So there was a lot of energy of 12th house, like the unhealthy, the sad expression side of 12th house energy, the Pisces, Neptune, 12th house vibes, where you can have the energy of disease, sickness, failure, loss, betrayal, lies, suffering, on the individual level, but also on the global level with countries, banks, institutions, corporations. Sick people, sick behavior. And a lot of it's being exposed because Saturn is retrograde, Neptune is retrograde. So there's a lot of, I say it all the time, you've got to reveal it to heal it. There's nothing better than a retrograde if you want the revealings, okay? And so that's what's happening. I think we're seeing it a lot in different countries. We're seeing a tremendous amount of revealing in the United States about everything that's sick and perverted and lost and tragic and decayed and corrupted in the United States, all the way up to the very top of the government, all the way down to our sewage, our water, our infrastructure, our electricity, the general maintenance of our country. It's like a family that's been very irresponsible and run up a lot of credit card debt and basically trashed their home and sent everything into a death spiral, and now we're living with the consequences. So at the same time, with this opposition here, this is going to fade out soon once Mars moves up to Libra and Virgo and so on. But for the time being, we're seeing a very, very heavy emphasis on disease and sickness, and you got to reveal it to heal it. And then over here, well, okay, well, what are we going to do about it? We have to understand it. We have to verbalize it, put it in words, define it, write it down, say what it is. And then with the Mars, okay, how are we going to attack and fix this stuff? If you think of Mars as the energy of the knife, the surgeon, for example, the energy of the needle, the injection, for example, things like that. How are we going to fix these health issues? So that's one thing that's going on right now. Let me just check over here a second. I want to hold on. I've got to go back and forth. Give me a second. I'm messing around with the technology. Put them over here. Okay, give me a second. I'm just going to check in. Oh, I see. Okay, all right. Okay, dokie. Okay, well, it looks like I got some notifications over here. We got a couple of readings booked. So I'm going to put out the magic post-it notes. We've got one for Mr. Gregory Ross. Good evening, sir. We've also got a reading booked for Necessary Truth. Okay, so we're off to a really good start. If that's all we do, that's all we do, and that's fine. Let me put this aside for a second. There's a lot of chatter in the chat. I better get over there. Give me a second, folks. I gotta catch up with you here. Okay, so we know that, let's just call her Nadine. That's Path Traveler's actual name. Hello, Ivona. Huh? Gregory sent it to you in a text. So, Gregory, you're going to receive the obituary for Nadine. Well, probably other people who want to read it and see it too. And then Nadine is never far away. She is a path traveler. She is a highly experienced navigator on the other side. And I can pretty much assure you that she's, even though she's undergone what she just endured, she's actually having a really good time. All set to y'all. Okay, I've got it. Thank you very much, Necessary. I'll ask tonight. I just sent it to Yellow PayPal. Okay. Necessary Truth. Are you going to invite Path to your reading? Well, she's already here. Okay, great. Necessary Truth is saying, of course, but did she ever need an invite? Not really. It's not like you could stop her anyway, even if you wanted to. She wasn't a projector. She is actually the one who taught me about the human design theory. Oh, okay. Okay. Someone was asking, when does Neptune go retrograde? Neptune is already retrograde, folks. Let me show you in just a minute here. Yes, Path Traveler actually brought a lot of love and light and inspiration to all of us here. Okay. Yeah, okie dokie. Pass it on, okay. Okay, I think I'm catching up with the chat over here. Let me go back to the charts again. So, right now, Neptune, let's see if the camera will catch it. A little bit, yeah. Neptune is already retrograde, okay? It's been that way, it's going to stay that way. Pluto is retrograde, Saturn is retrograde, Venus is retrograde, and soon Mercury is going retrograde. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 planets all retrograde simultaneously. That's a lot of revisions, revising, rewinding, recycling, reviewing, readjusting, rebuilding, anything. Relaxing if we want, rearranging, repairing, revealing, most importantly, revealing. So Neptune is already retrograde here. It's very close to the crisis degrees 29. It's going to go back, so it's going to be a while before it gets to 29. So yeah, it is we're close to crisis degrees as it is. Now with these transits here, Saturn over the next couple of years in Pisces, we're going to see a lot more of what we're just been talking about with health and sickness and disease all across planet Earth. And one of the places you're going to see it most of all, although it may not be reported over in Western mainstream media, is China. China is in very, very deep trouble. Okay, I'm just calling it out. Financially, spiritually, emotionally, the country is spiritually bankrupt, and it's falling apart from the inside. Leakage, you could just call it. Again, when you think of Neptune, Pisces, 12th house energy, you can think of anything and everything that can go wrong with water, fluids, body fluids, disease, and that's what's happening in China. Massive, astronomical, biblical scale flooding, killing tens of thousands of people, destroying the lives of millions. Vast areas of the Chinese agriculture, cities, devastated. You're not going to see it over here, but it's happening. You can do your own research if you want. Cheers, everybody. I'm glad it's not happening here. Although we could seriously do with some of that rain. Anyway, so this isn't going to change any times in the next few weeks, okay? So if some of you are witnessing in your life, in your world, that you look around, perhaps you're even sick or unhealthy or having some weird health issues yourself, but you might notice it around you, you might notice it in the world or your community or your town or your loved ones, who knows? Or even your enemies, who knows? So just pay attention to that. Now over here, we're pretty much at the point of, well, we're not there yet, but we're going to have a Leo new moon soon. The moon is here right now. It's going to be there in a couple of days. Right now, Venus is directly conjoined with the sun, so it's a very strong, powerful energy, very harmonious with the Aries and Chiron, and helpful with the Aries North Node, but it's also very, very harsh with the Taurus energy. So what can you do? This energy over here represents a lot of the things that are catastrophic happening on the, let's say, planet Earth. You know, fires, earthquakes, hurricanes, tornadoes, flooding, drought, all those classic, massive events in nature over which we have pretty much zero control. And it's absolutely terrifying for people who are on the receiving end of these shocking weather events. Highly unpredictable, some of them devastating. And it's being amplified by Jupiter. The Venus represents money as well, like in the tangible forms. And Taurus, the second house, represents money. So there's a big clash here. And what I'm seeing is extreme stress and tension in the global banking systems. And it's basically a massive fight between fake money and real money. Fake money, which is the standard operating system for the whole of planet Earth, as instituted in 1913 by the United States Federal Reserve banking system. Now it's completely globalized, and it's like a massive metastatic tumor that is infected everywhere on planet Earth, and everyone is suffering accordingly. And there are enough people on Earth who are waking up, who want to reclaim their sovereign selves, who are saying enough is enough is enough. We want to live in a world of real money, real value, real genuine transaction abilities, where not everything is valued in terms of the measurement of dollars, but more in terms of commodities, comfort, safety, access to clean food, clean water, having good neighborhoods, good friends, good situations with friends and family, good relationships with other countries, where everybody is, let's say, invested in the optimal outcomes and optimal situations between yourselves and others, which would happen under a free market capitalist system where natural good intentions come to the surface, and anything that is unhealthy naturally dies in the marketplace. But with the United States Federal Reserve, at the point of desperation, they're reaching their end game where they literally can't control it anymore. They're working very hard to continue to control it, but what we're seeing is a slow motion implosion of the current existing status quo of the global financial system. And that's going to affect everybody on Earth. It's already having devastating impacts in Lebanon, parts of Africa, a lot of parts over here, parts of Central and South America, parts of South Africa over here, parts of Eastern Europe over here, all the Ishtans and stuff. Tremendous problems. Classic, well-known example is Sri Lanka. It's already imploded. Pakistan is imploding. Lebanon is imploding. Turkey has terrible problems. Greece has shocking problems. Most of this part of South America is in deep trouble. Argentina is in very deep trouble. Okay? That's all of that is a consequence of the perverted behavior of the United States Federal Reserve banking system that operates out of here. It doesn't have to be that way. It just is that way. I like to think, I can't prove any of this, but I have this theory that I know from certain past lives. I know I've been ex-military in several past lives. I also know, shock, that I was a female woman of the night in the late 1800s in Paris. Okay? I'm not going to go into how I know all these things, but I know them very vividly. I also know that I was very active in the military about 2,500 years ago with multiple, I was very, very high up, in what I would call advisory positions for leaders at the time. I also know, I firmly believe that I lived multiple lifetimes as a Native American, way before the times of written history. I'm thinking more like 5,000 years ago instead of 3,000. And I'm pretty sure that Native American history goes back to about 10,000 years, which really isn't much. But anyway, from the little that I know about Native American civilization and cultures, their wealth was measured in how happy are they in their tribe, in their villages. Are there enough buffalo? Is there enough fresh, clean water? Do they have access to abilities to hunt and gather? And let's say there is a hierarchy. Of course, there would be a chief and a leader, and then there would be layers of hierarchy and power structures and the way that decisions are made in order that the community can survive. And from what I believe, the wealth of the tribe, even if it's a small one or part of a bigger tribe, was very much in the tangible things like commodities and resources, and the interconnectedness of each family inside the tribe with each other, knowing that with very unhealthy or toxic, perverse, exploitive relationships, that becomes very destructive for the tribe. And of course, at those levels, everybody knows everybody in the community. So it's not like you had one or two people at the very top who had astronomical wealth and they built teepees the size of, the Grand Canyon to show off all their wealth. I'm sure that the leaders had maybe bigger teepees, more ornaments, more buffalo horns, more fur, more feathers and stuff. But those are the minimal differentials between the tribal leader and the local little boy who's just born into a family, where he would still have maybe some moccasins and some leather and a few feathers of their own. And the idea was not to exploit and rape and pillage everybody. I know that some tribes were, they made their living by rape and pillage of other tribes, but most tribes, from what I can tell, liked to live in these self-sustaining communities where peace was paramount. And of course there would be trouble now and again, so they would defend themselves, but in general, I'm really talking about the wealth rather than the culture. Whereas today, wealth is measured in like, how big is your super yacht? How big is your mansion? How many cars do you have? How many private jets do you have? How many mistresses? How much money, so-called money, do you have in the bank? How big is your portfolio? It's all that kind of stuff. And what can you do with it all? And it's become, I would say it's become a disease. Power, money, and control. The lust for the extreme power, money, and control. I think to get to the level where some of those people are at the very top in our modern world requires a deliberate choice to abandon God, abandon love, abandon compassion, abandon empathy, deliberately delete it from your operating system, in order that you can function in a world where the only thing that counts is acquiring more power, more money, and control. And that represents to me a disease deeply bedded in here. And then that disease spreads across the world. And that's what I see today. What I see is, out of an 8 billion population, I see about 2 billion people at least who are the victims of the disease from up here. Propagated, permeated through the what do you call them? It's almost like the blood vessels of human existence. I was just talking to Love Triber, trying to explain one of my perceptions. My perception is, if you look at, okay, I'm going to do it this way. Hold on. Give me a second. Please bear with me. Okay, here's a flat piece of paper in a rectangle shape depicting what we know to be our best impression and understanding of our home, planet Earth. And right now we have about 8 billion people living here. And if you, depending on how you like to look at things, if you take a certain type of lens and adjust it, like what they do in astronomy and science research, they take X-ray pictures, they take infrared photography and Hubble telescope photography, whatever. If you look at this as a living space or an environment, and there's 8 billion organisms that we call humans, and if you look at it from the perspective of swarm theory or hive mind theory, you could look at people, the 8 billion people, as a single organism that operates like a swarm, like a hive. And inside that swarm, inside that hive, there is like a central control system. And right now, the main central control systems are over here, and over here, and over here. There's a big one here, and a lot of the rest of them are scattered around like satellite systems. But these are the big main nodes of the operating system. And I believe inside each node here, and here, and here, it is completely and utterly corrupted and diseased, as if it's infected by some alien perversion, like a cancerous tumor. And the way that these ruling nodes operate is by through the same mechanism as metastatic cancer. It goes everywhere, and it starts to eat its own body, which is what happens with a person when you get major cancer. The cancer starts to eat your own body. And out of 8 billion people here, I believe that there's at least 2 billion people that are suffering as if they are infected with cancer. I'm just giving you an analogy, but that's my personal opinion. So it's as though Homo sapiens, whatever you want to call it, apparently the Homo sapiens means wise, the wise ones. Screw that. We are actually the biggest enemy of ourselves and each other. We are very, very, very sick as a population right now, and it's becoming very, very obvious, at least from my perspective, and I'm just sharing some of my opinions, that's all. Right, so there we go. I just thought I'd share that. Next. Ooh. Tina just showed up. So Tina, let's just do a quick catch up, everybody. Let's all catch up with Tina. Tina, I don't know if you remember, I don't have a very large capacity for memory, but you probably know that path traveler Nadine passed away recently, very recently. And she's here with us tonight. She's hanging around with Necessary Truth in the ether, in the great beyond, along with the wonderful invisible friends of Necessary Truth named John and Chris. So that's it, Tina. Just getting you up to speed. And Tina, as you know, well, Path was kind of an inspiration to the whole community here. Anyway, welcome. Thanks for dropping by, Tina. Let me go back here. So I just wanted to share my opinion with you about my perspective about all that sick stuff. I feel very, very lucky at the moment because I feel like I'm operating more on this side, the Virgo 6th house energy, about how are we going to deal with the healing of all the sickness over here. So at the same time, we have this massive, big, fat cross. It's active, extremely acute right now at this very, very moment that I predicted a few days ago. So here it is. I've extended the cross here, but if you can see, I've tried to illustrate it so you can see that this is in a very tight square with this. It creates what they call a grand cross. This is the grand cross. It's the most extreme, painful thing you can have in Western astrology. You could also call it a grand square because not only do we have these two fierce oppositions, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 hard squares simultaneously. So if you want, I'm going to illustrate it and mess up my chart because Love Triber said it was going to get very colorful. I wonder if I can use yellow. Will yellow show up on here? Not too much. Well, I'll do the yellow, okay? So I'm going to add yellow. Yellow. Yeah, I think you can see it. Yellow. Yellow. So, can you see this is a square? 2, 3, 4, and these are the oppositions. So, it's very fierce. All of this is extreme high tension. Again, I love to blame it on the planets. This is happening right now in our solar system. Now, as you know, the nodal axis is not really a planet. But a lot of, in my view, I interpret it with the same energy and the same degree of significance as if it was a planetary influence. I did a whole video about the nodes recently. Yellow is goo. Okay. Tina Miller was born with a fixed grand cross. Okay, so that is going to be, when you're born with that, it kind of keeps you on your toes for life. It's like you never get a moment to slack off. unless you have, of course, sweet aspects when you get transits that soften up the pressure, So anyway, this is happening live right now, and the way I interpret it, I've gone over it quite a few times. This Capricorn Cancer axis is very, very significant for the United States. The United States is born with Mercury in Cancer, the high 20s. America is born with Pluto in Capricorn, high 20s, like 27 degrees. So this is an extremely fierce conjunction that matches the birth chart of the United States. It's extreme right now. And guess what? Simultaneously, we're seeing some very, very extreme power plays in the United States right now between what I think of as we the people in our day-to-day desire to have healthy communities, healthy commerce day-to-day with authentic money, real transactions between real people, and just get rid of the maniacally obsessive elites who try to control the world of money and finance for their advantage at your expense. This is the storyline playing out in America right now. And the only way you can recover and rebuild and heal is to give up the toxic relationships that we in America have allowed ourselves to accept, to do with the world of fake money, fake leaders, evil leadership. All they care about is power, money, and control at your expense. It's so obvious now. The mainstream media is not reporting it, of course, but if you study what I study, you'll see that it's extremely obvious. And what's the way out? How do you deal with it? How are you going to create a parallel life so you can survive, perhaps even thrive? The way out is here. You have to make a deliberate choice to prioritize yourself, no matter how scary it might be, to abandon and find ways to decouple from these very, very sick, unhealthy relationships in the world of other people's money, fake money, the Federal Reserve, the fake banking system, the fake government, and start to create a parallel world where it's all about sovereign wealth based on the sovereign self, where you give yourself permission and the right to be you without having to defer and constantly sublimate yourself to an evil empire, a tyrannical evil empire. Okay, I just wanted to share that. So there you go. That's what that looks like. There's the Aries North Node here. Again, very powerful degrees. 28 degrees here, 28, 28, 28. That is about as extreme as you can get, as any grand cross, any grand square would go for anybody, anywhere, at any time. And this is affecting the whole of planet Earth right now. Again, if you watch and study what I watch and study, then it all makes perfect sense. Some people don't care. Love Triber was telling me, and a couple of people were also telling me that some people have just given up. They can't take the pressure. Their lives are falling apart, especially when it comes to finance and health and family and stability and safety and security. I made a lot of videos recently about those kinds of subjects. Some people can't cope, and they give up. They take their budget, whatever that might be, and instead of buying food, they just give up and they go buy liquor and they buy drugs, and they basically give up hope and they wait for everything to decompose. And those are classic symptoms of being beyond repair, and those people end up being part of the 2 billion people that are already effectively dead. They might be still walking and living, and they might physically be alive, but they are effectively dead. It's very, very sad. It's very tragic. It's very disturbing, very frightening. Again, it's just part of evolution. In terms of the planet and outer space and everything is exactly as it should be. How is that so? Why is that so? It can't be any other way. If we as a population with swarm behavior and hive mind, we realize that we have the opportunity and ability to expand exponentially from like 200 years ago, maybe 1 or 2 billion people on Earth, to where we are today, to 8 billion. It's no wonder we're swimming in our own poop and our own pee and degrading everyone else's space and time and energy. It's disgusting, but that's where we are. We're swimming in our own poop and our own pee. I'm sorry to be so blunt, but that's how I see it. Rats in a cage. And again, it's natural. It's naturally occurring. It's extremely hard to stop the natural phenomenon of procreation and expansion. That's what trees do. That's what fish do. That's what butterflies, bugs, mosquitoes, dolphins, they all expand and grow and multiply in their own unique environments to the point of maximum where they can't go any further, and then they start to depreciate from there. Esther marked it very well. So things are going to continue to be poopy. Yeah, and I think it's going to get very poopy and very, very stinky. Very stinky and very poopy. The Walking Dead. Yep. I never saw it. I knew one of the producers for The Walking Dead, but the little bits and pieces that I saw, I didn't want to watch it. I'm sorry. Oh, Gregory. Don't give up. Gregory's a walking zombie. It's very, very, very hard. It's incredibly hard to navigate in these astrological conditions. Excuse me. I've got allergies. My nose, my face, my eyes are all like, I think I'm doing really well considering. But yeah, for example, Gregory, if you feel that, you feel that here, it's understandable. You can look at the world around you. You can see and sense all sorts of misery. You're very, very empathic, Gregory. Most of the people who come to this channel are already that way. And it's very, very easy to absorb and suck up subconsciously a lot of pain and suffering from around you, from your immediate environment, very, very tight vicinity, all the way out to your city, your neighborhood, the state, and the world. And you feel it, and you start to absorb it, and it starts to become frightening. And that's like becoming ill, becoming sick, where your immune system becomes challenged. And the immune system includes this here. It isn't just your, whatever it is, thyroid or your lymph systems and all of that. It's also state of mind. So, and it can be very, very hard to break those feelings, though, because it's very frightening. It's very, very tragic when you wake up and you look around the world and you think, oh my God, it's going to hell. It's going to hell, man. And it's easy to get sucked up in the fear. Does that mean I'm going to hell? Well, number one, we're all going to pass over at some point. But in the meantime, while you're still here, you might as well make the best of it. It's very, very hard for some people right now. I guarantee it's extremely hard. Just simply because of that massive grand cross, that big, how do I do a big grand cross? That big grand cross thing, that is affecting the whole of planet Earth right now. Every single person in existence. That grand cross is sitting on you somewhere, and it's causing extreme stress on you at those trigger points. Wherever those trigger points lie in your chart, those exact points, 28 degrees Capricorn, 28 Cancer, 28 Libra, 28 Aries, wherever those points are, those are the stressors. That's where you're going to feel the stress. Now, it's going to be more amplified if you actually have planets or nodes or aspects very close to those particular points. On top of that, these are the cardinal signs on the cardinal degrees at the crisis points. So it's very extreme, okay? So Gregory, for example, if you are feeling a lot of like pain in here, suffering, sadness, maybe hopelessness and stuff, I would say it's like, welcome to the club. We're all feeling it in some way. Some feeling it a lot worse than others. Some can't cope at all. Okay? Okay. So anyway, Greg, I don't know what's going on with the obituary, but later tonight I'll put a post-it note to make sure that you get a copy of the obituary, okay? So let me, we'll work on that. I don't know, maybe I should bring it up and read it out on the show. I'll do a separate recording or something. I don't really want to do that unless I hear back from people here if they think that's respectful or appropriate. I don't know. I would be honored to do that. It's very personal, but it's also very, very beautiful. And it comports very, very well with Path Traveler herself, who was a very, very bright, shining light of a soul. Anyway, let me go over here. Just want to clear this for a moment. All right, so I'm going to put this aside. We've got a couple of readings to do tonight. It looks like Nagar disappeared. I didn't see any donations or any follow-up on the chats. Some people don't want to put any donations into the readings. I understand. I'm sure there are channels that do free tarot readings, so you just have to search. You'd have to search out there, but I'm sure there are some. I'm going to put all this away, so bear with me, folks. Okay, I don't know if we're going to need this. I'm going to tuck it over here. I know we've got a reading for Gregory, Ross, and Necessary Truth. And I'm going to put a post-it over here about the obituary. Just give me a second. I'll be with you and we'll start the... Yes, Starsy. Oh, thank you, Gregory. You got it! Oh, good. All right, so I don't need to put that post-it up there. Yes, Starsy. Starsy, you might recall the name Path Traveler. She's been with us at the community and the channel since the early days. She is a very bright guiding light, and she passed away just days ago. And it's been very shocking, sad. It's also very beautiful. Her son survives her, and he's a great guy. Her brother is looking after things, and there's a lot of sorting out to do because this is very, very recent. Tina's just sent... Oh, okay, all right, Tina, hold on. So, do you remember last week? I think we did some readings. Every reading from last week... Every reading from last week was very challenging and stressful for everyone for whom I did a reading. Now, I can't remember who that was or anything, but anyway, let's have a look. And I think the reason, again, is, you know, I love to blame it on the planets. Last week, in fact, give me a second here. I've been keeping some of these recently. Last Sunday was the, let's see, today's the 13th. Last Sunday was the 6th. Look at this already. Look at what I did on the 6th. Last Sunday. Today's the 13th. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sure I did a... That's the 12th. That's the 6th. Where's the 8th? There's the 6th. Okay, look. So last week when I did those readings for everybody, look at that for a mess. Okay? Talk about pain and suffering. Look at that. Extreme pain and suffering, and then what are we going to do about it? Think of the Virgo energy, Mercury and Mars. How are we going to heal this? Think of the energy of the nurse. How are we going to deal with this extreme hyper sickness that is pervading the whole planet? And we're seeing it in individuals in our own lives. Look at this, 28 degree, 28 degree, 28 degree. Over there, you can, well, I'm going to pull the whole thing out here. Anyway, there it is. That's the 28 degree mark. So this was already extremely acute last week, and the moon was over here, right? Very, very tight on the north node. Now the moon today is here, all right? And that's what's amplifying the big fat T square grand cross grand square that we have today. You see the magic of astrodoodles, how it all makes sense. You can see how and why I blame everything on the planets. All the good stuff, all the scary stuff. All right. Oh gosh. Oh God, all of a sudden everybody wants a reading. I don't know how much I can handle. Esther, yeah, I could do something during the week if you want. I'd be happy to do that. Tonight, I mean, these days, really, I'm sorry, I can only handle about 3. I've done a few more, but it gets me really... I'm not the person I was when I started this channel 5 years ago. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 26 years I've been doing this stuff. You would think I would have 100,000 or 200,000 subscribers by now, but in effect, I only have about 40. You know, it's weird. Thank you for asking, Esther. I think I'd like to just leave it at that for tonight. We'll do Gregory, Necessary, and Tina. And then everybody called in the last week or so. So I spent the last 4 days sleeping. Yay! That could probably be one of the best things you could have done for yourself. Healing thyself. Healer, heal thyself. All right, so I'm going to leave this here. If I weren't feeling so bad, I would pass. Everyone called in the last week, so I spent the last 4 days sleeping. If I weren't feeling so bad, I would pass. Oh, man. All right. All right, let's have a look here. Okay, so rest assured, if you're really feeling like an enormous pile of stinky doo-doo and you don't know what to do with it, how to fumigate yourself or anything like that, you can blame it on this, because everybody's dealing with their own version of the same thing. It can be really, really crippling for some people. It's been very, very tough. Extremely tough. So that was today. Yeah, okay, that's the 13th. That's from today. Alrighty. Also, with all the retrogrades, remember? Tina's just very tired. She was feeling and sleeping so much. But remember, with these retrogrades, it can actually make you feel like, oh God, I'm trying to go up a steep hill and I've lost traction. I don't have enough gasoline in my tank. I feel too weak and tired. I can't make it. Everything seems to be going against me. Now, if you've got, I mean, everybody has these planets in their chart somewhere. Question is, are they hitting some of the actual stressful aspects in your own chart? Without going into deep personal astrology, we can't do that here on the show tonight. But Gregory, pass on my reading for another person to have one that is. Oh, hold on a second. Let me just check in here. Stay there, folks. I need to check something. Alright, well, let me... Well, I'm just observing this in the chat at the moment. So in the chat, Esther's not feeling bad. Pass on my reading for another, perhaps to have one that is. And he's so bad. Okie dokie. How about this? Until we get resolution on the reading for Gregory, in case somebody accepts the offer, or however, like paying it forward type of situation. How about we do this for now? Okay. All right, there we go. I'm just catching up with the chat. Okay, let's. Okay. So, does that make sense? We'll start with Gregory. Esther, it sounds like Esther's willing to wait or get something during the week. Esther, you're more than welcome to connect with me here. That's my email. And we can do a little mini booking during the week if you want. Okay? I love doing readings during the week. You should have shut up. Damn it. All right. So, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to top up my iced tea. I just want get a small top up on my iced tea. If you can just bear with me a second, folks, and I'll be right back and we'll get into the readings themselves. Now, if I come back and the chat has changed a little bit and we have to adjust the readings and the post-it notes and the names, then we'll do that. But right now, I need some water and a little bit of the iced tea. So bear with me. Just got back. Let me catch up here. I'm not feeling bad. Esther's not feeling bad. Esther's saying, Gregory, you go first. Gregory's saying, I should have just shut up. Esther, no, speak your truth. Necessary truth. Gregory is up. Tina says, I didn't have a fixed grand cross, just a grand cross. Ah, okay. I was at Scorpio, Taurus, Virgo, and Aqua. Okay. All right. So it looks like the first read, according to the notes here, is for Gregory. Okay, so we got that. Oh, so Tina, I know you sometimes like to keep busy even though you were sleeping 4 days. So if you got work to do, cooking or homework or on the house or whatever, we'll get to your reading eventually. We're going to be here for a while now, folks. We're going to do 3 readings. We're going to start with Mr. Ross over here. Down. Tina, we'll look over here. Cheers, everyone. TL is back in the house. Yep. That's good. Alrighty, let's have a look what's going on. Cards are well shuffled, but we're going to, of course, go live so that you are a witness. No reversals. I'm not going to do any jumpers and flyers, and no mystical, magical, hanky-panky. And I'm not going to do oracles or anything. For some reason, our little tiny situational spread that we use here seems to offer more than enough when we do the readings. Sometimes we get into a whole freaking movie script the way the stories unfold. You can never really tell. Alright, let's have a look. There we go. I think we're pretty good to go. Let's bless this deck. Every single card in the deck, of course. The artists and people who make them. And bless the technology, all the multiple softwares, the cameras, microphones, lights, computers, wires, platform, internet. Everything it takes to do what we do here. All right, I think we're good to go. Okay, Gregory, let's have a look. All right, here's we got a very, very even split tonight. All right, let's see. Here's the situation. Here's challenges. Here's how we're going to handle things, and let's have a look at the surroundings. Usually, or very frequently, this ends up as an interpretation of what I show on the Astrodoodle. Let's have a look. So we got the 3 of Cups here. Now, I'm going to give you my very instantaneous first impression. Its attitude of gratitude is incredibly important to build into a person's standard operating system. And the more people do it, the more it starts to work. And the more your life changes and the more your perception of life changes. So, for example, with the 3 of Cups here, to me it's sending me a very loud message, is to really celebrate all the awesome things that you do have in your life. And yes, be extremely aware of the incredibly difficult, miserable stuff that's going on. There are some people whose lives are being totally destroyed right now. Millions and millions of people. Destroyed forever. There's no coming back for some of these millions of people. You know, I rant on about the CCP in China, but a lot of the Chinese people are just sweet, loving people who just want a normal life. Millions and millions of them, their lives are ruined. So we here in our little tiny community, we have a lot to celebrate. We have a lot of love that we share and celebrate with each other. And that includes you, Gregory. You are one of the pillars of this community. That needs to be celebrated and enjoyed. And it's like, I would love to, if I was still drinking, I would love to share a beverage with you. Of course, I could do that virtually. I could raise my glass to you, sir. This is iced tea, which is a perfectly respectable beverage. And I ask you to raise your glass to me and everyone here in the community tonight. It is a gesture of appreciation about how lucky we are, each of us in our own bizarre way. Sometimes we forget that. Usually every day, I have to force myself, because I have to tell you, Gregory, I can be my own worst enemy in terms of drowning in my own self-pity and misery. I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but I know that it's very easy for me to slip into that mud, and I can trip up and fall over, and then it's very hard to clean everything off. So what I try to do is maintain a status where I never actually get there anymore, at least not as often. And so I remind myself every day I'm a very lucky man. I'm a very, very wealthy man. I'm a very happy man. In fact, I'm a very blessed man when I do those declarations and measurements, and I do them, let's say, subjectively, and in measure against the rest of the world. I really, really am. I am a lucky man. I'm a wealthy man. I'm a happy man. I'm a blessed man. And whatever little bits of misery I sense, I remind myself of my true status by declaration. Okay? So, no matter how bad things might be for you, Gregory, there is something to celebrate. I assure you. I absolutely assure you. Just being here tonight, hanging out with you. I'd love to give you a big hug. I'd love to be able to crack a beer, pour a beer for you. Anyway, let's have a look. What's the situation? Okay, so I'm not going to dive too much into the misery and grief here. This is feels much more like an esoteric kind of vibe, where you're at a situation where you realize it's like you're at a chapter, at a crossroads, at a threshold in life, where you have to acknowledge that you have been generous, in fact, probably overly generous with how you dispense your natural gift of healing and sharing the healing power of love with others. And you might be wondering, well, what's left for me? What about me? What am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to go? Who's going to give me a big cuddle at night? Who's going to load me up with a whole bunch of cups? And then you realize maybe that's not the mission or purpose of life. Maybe it's not to collect as much cups energy as possible. It's so much more about the giving. And I was actually watching, I don't normally do this, but give me a second, Gregory. Oh, what have I just done? I clicked something. What was I doing? Hold on, Gregory, stay there a second. All right, there I am. I was watching something on YouTube earlier today, and this Christian preacher came on doing these commercials. It's happening more and more on YouTube, and it's these preachers and entrepreneurs who are trying to tap into the right-wing Republican Christian traditional family type culture in order to sell their service or sell their product. And some of them are, to me, feel really bogus, like trying to exploit God or Jesus or religion or Christianity or something. But there's one guy today, he was saying a bunch of stuff which made me think, wow, this guy's the real deal. He actually knows what he's talking about. And let me see if I can get to the point here. The point he was trying to make is that how do you measure wealth and happiness and love in your life? Well, what is that? Have you got enough houses, cars, money, jets, yachts, stuff, things, symbols of wealth? Have you got enough stuff to walk around and live in your community where you can feel superior to everyone else? Is that what you need to feel wealthy and happy and blessed and lucky? If so, I'm sorry for you. That's very tragic. And then he illustrated, here's what it really, really takes to be wealthy and happy. And then he described some of the things that we described earlier. And I thought, this guy's cool. He understands, like, you can't take that house with you. You can't take that car with you. Like Nadine, for example, path traveler. She was a fierce generator of light. She was like a beacon of light, a beacon of hope for people. And she just would grind out that energy all day, every day. She was very, very luminous. Maybe she overdid it. Maybe she self-sacrificed. Maybe she put out too much. But I guarantee you she was very deeply loved. And that's what really, really counts. And so it's not about, I talk about be loving, be loved. It sounds so simple. I just go, oh, it sounds very flippant. Be loving, be loved. But a lot of people want it the other way around. Like, how can I be loving if I'm not loved? Somebody has to love me first before I can love them back. I can't trust you. Do you love me? Does anybody love me? What does that constitute? And can you see how that's a form of self-sabotage? Because you can never, ever get that from another person that you have to provide for yourself. That's why I say, number one, love thyself. Sounds like I'm trying to encourage narcissism and egomania and all of that. I'm not. So, anyway, it's not about the getting. It's about the giving. It's about the spreading. So this preacher guy, whoever he was talking about some of the people in his community, the ones that are really happy and blessed and fortunate. They do this kind of pay it forward thing. Like, my life sucks right now. In what way does it suck? Oh, maybe I'm fed up with food and stuff. And so he was suggesting things like, go and make a bunch of food and go out and give something to a homeless person. Or maybe hold a weekend barbecue. Invite your friends and family, and you buy all the food, you cook it, and you just give it away. And people are kind of go, oh, that's great, blah, 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 and then they go. Maybe they don't say thank you, maybe they do. But you love, okay? Now, you deserve to be loved on a grand scale. And so if you're not feeling it, it's understandable. But in the end, it's really about the love that you give. Now, that's probably somewhere in a Beatles song, the love you give. I can't remember which song it is, but I'm hearing a Beatles song somewhere. Okay? Okay? Oh, yeah, that's seriously, yeah, I'm serious, right? Well, what about me? What about me? I'm sorry, I'm really going over the top here, Gregory, but I worked in Hollywood and movies and TV for 20 years, and it's over now. But one show I worked on was called My Name is Earl, and it was all about karma and everything. I think it was a really good show. I was so proud to be part of that team. And on one episode, I remember we were shooting outdoors over in Van Nuys neighborhood up in the valley over in Los Angeles, on a back street, side street, very, very ordinary, plain and stuff. And there's poor old Earl walking down the street with his brother Randy. Deadbeat Earl, deadbeat Randy. And then there's Earl walking down the street telling Randy, man, listen, Randy, Also, there was one of his buddies there too. Guys, I've given so much. I won all that money on the lottery, and I started helping everybody in their lives. And then, but what about me? Where's the good karma for me? When am I gonna get the stuff? When am I gonna get the love, huh? And it was the way it was done. Of course, it was a sort of dark comedy. But I'll never forget that line. What about me? What about the karma from me? When am I going to get mine? You see what I'm getting at, Gregory? I hope this reading is helping you. Anyway, what's the problem here? Let's have a look. Oh, you might be shackled. Sometimes it's very, very easy to get tied up and wrapped up in our own misery, our own habits, our own grief, our own self-destructive behavior, self-destructive relationships, perhaps relationships that are inappropriate or burnt out or unhealthy. Part of you, Gregory, of course, is you have a bit of a savior complex because of your empathy and your compassion. You can't help it. You have a history of representing successfully the underdog, okay, in the legal world, in your professional world. And that can be very, very taxing. And sometimes it doesn't always work, but it takes a tremendous toll on your system. And I remember on another reading, I think we discussed that maybe, I mean, this is almost like a compulsion, like a compassion junkie energy. You can't help yourself. It is so incredibly satisfying to help and to save those who can't save themselves, especially someone that you deem worthy and deserving of your gifts and talents and the love that you share. Because when you do that work with people, you're actually extending love. You are being loving. But it could be that you've reached a point of, what's it called, built-in obsolescence, where with this kind of stuff going on in the world astrology, maybe these are major threshold points. Maybe it's time to put yourself first, above the clients, above the relationships, some way, somehow, without feeling deprived. In other words, like if you have to deliberately remove yourself from clients, relationships, contracts, or situations, it could be like extreme separation anxiety. Like, what am I going to do? How am I going to cope? What if I retire from this world of saving people and loving people and helping people? What am I going to do then? It's very, very hard if you're a compassion junkie. And so you might be deliberately strapping yourself in to a world that's actually redundant. Okay? And then, oh my God, what happens if I unstrap myself? Some people fall in love with their pain and their misery to the point where that becomes the defining characteristics of their life. That's my life. I'm shackled to pain and misery. And you just keep repeating it, and that's what it is. Some people do that to themselves. They don't even know they're condemning themselves to misery. It doesn't have to be that way. We can make the decision to break those chains. All right, let's have a look. How are we going to deal with this moving forward? Let's have a look. Moving forward. Dear Gregory, no one's coming to save you. You're going to have to save yourself. I'm sorry. But, of course, you've got us that you can lean on. What's happening here is my feeling is you're going to have to become your own hero. You're going to have to actually see yourself as if you are in a movie, and that everything that's coming out in this reading so far is actually like a movie script, and you're seeing yourself, oh my God, now I get it. I'm actually the lead role. I am the hero in this movie. And just like in the movie, I don't know. Sorry, I'm getting distracted, but now you realize, oh my God, I am the star of my own show. I'm actually the director and the screenwriter of my own movie. And we've reached a certain point of critical mass in the movie where things have to change. Otherwise, dun, 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 oh no! So guess what? There's no one. And now it comes out in the movie. It becomes very obvious to the audience and then to you. In fact, it comes to the audience first, even before it comes to you, the star of your own movie, that there's nobody coming to save you. And so you end up looking into the camera in terror, absolute terror. Oh my God, I'm going to have to save myself. Holy shit. And then that's where you start writing the new chapter, the new scene in the movie. That's it. It's up to you. You're writing the screenplay of your life. You're a writer, producer, director, and lead actor in that movie. And you're at a critical point right now where it's become very obvious in the storyline that no one's coming to save you. You are possibly partially the cause of your own demise, and that has to stop because the movie's not over. So where does the movie go? There's only one way. You have to save yourself. That's it. That's it. It's glorious. Okay? And of course you've got us to lean on. Okay, Gregory? Not saying you have to do this on your own, but the momentum has to start with you. There we go. I hope you enjoyed your reading and you got something out of it. Thank you, sir. Thank you so, so much. You're a very kind, loving, generous man. Yep, that's the giddy up card for sure. Luckily, the Knight of Wands is a very powerful, powerful energy. Once you start penning out the lines for your the next scene in the screenplay, we'll probably start to see it showing up here over the next year or two, or maybe even the next few weeks or months. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens. All right, we're moving on. Got to shuffle up here, folks. Shuffling on. Dear Necessary Truth. So you are surrounded tonight. I guess Chris and John are here, and Nadine is here. It's all wonderful. Oh yeah. Oh yes, sir, Mr. Ross. Oh yeah. Alright, let's have a look here. Gotta get the cards nice and pristine. Whoops, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. Who's messing around here? Somebody's messing things around. Oh, hey, Necessary. I see what you're saying there with your notes. I don't remember the closing chapters of The Truman Show, but I know that I have seen that movie. As far as I recall, Jim Carrey is the star, and he discovers that he's living in a synthetic world, which is virtually a movie set, and he doesn't realize it. I don't know. That's all I remember. All right, let's have a look. Dear Necessary Truth here. What have we got? Oh, man. All right, let's have a look here. Okay, what kind of messages do we have tonight for Necessary Truth? Okay. Calling in John, Chris, and of course, Path Traveler. Team effort, folks. Team effort. Let's see what's going on. Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle things. Alright, and let's have a look at the external influences here. We're going to default most likely to the planets because the planets are very, very powerful right now. Let's have a look. Kaboom. Oh, we got the Nine of Cups here, Necessary Truth. Again, so here's what I'm sensing. I'm going to give you my spontaneous interpretation. With the Nine of Cups here, it's almost like this extreme pressure is forcing you to prioritize yourself in terms of happiness. Number one, love thyself first and foremost. Because it might be that you have such a default setting without knowing it, where you automatically, very generously, very subtly, and very effectively prioritize others' happiness above your own. And it becomes a very, very generous, perhaps overly generous gift that can be depleting. Okay? This is a drain here. The south node is a drain. So we're looking at the energy of redundant, unhealthy, toxic relationships that are no longer serving you at this moment in your life. No insult to the other people that might come to mind in your head right now, but the important thing is to prioritize the self above the other. There is such intense pressure to do so that this is where the energy is pointing here. And it might feel very unnatural, again, because you're a bit of a compassion junkie, you're a natural healer, you work in a professional world, very, very proper professional world, but we also know that you have the other version of necessary truth where you are a professional psychic medium. You can't help yourself. That's who you are, how you are, and it's what you do. And sometimes it can be overwhelming. And you have recently been overwhelmed by others who want to be happy. And they're not happy for whatever reason. Maybe they're sick, or they've lost their mind, or they're on an unhealthy path, or things have gone wrong in their lives to the point where they are reaching out to you almost in desperation. And it puts you in a situation where, like, I don't know what to do anymore. I don't know what to do anymore, okay? And so, because you're already doing so much, okay? You cannot afford to drain the pool. You can't afford to just deplete yourself. You have to strike a balance so that when you are operating as an instrument of the healing power of love, you regularly top up the tank by connecting with your invisible friends in the great beyond, and you ask for the healing power of love to fill your body, mind, heart, and soul from up above. So you just charge up like an electric car or like a gasoline tank or whatever. Now you own it and you have it, and then you can dispense the love outwardly. Be loving, and then you can be loved. Okay, so we already know that process, but it might be really out of balance right now, where you have to remember you got to top up the tank, and you can't keep draining the tank purely for the benefit of others at the depletion of your own happiness. Okay, so I am equating this Nine of Cups in terms of personal happiness that you deserve as a reward to the self that can only be awarded to you and given to you by yourself in acknowledgement for how awesome you are, because no one else is going to do it. If everybody realizes, and they do, that there's all this cups energy that you contain and that you have the ability to share and disperse, guess what? They're going to grab everything. They're going to try and drain you dry. They're going to try to drain the tank so there's nothing left for you. So you have to become very, let's say, astute about keeping some of this energy for yourself, okay? Okay, now, that's just the background, okay? I've got to do something here. There's some interference going on. Oh, I see there's a question there. how, TL, my question is, how will the Neptune retrograde affect me? Or advice on the Neptune retrograde. I'm a Pisces moon. Okay, understandable. Okay, so we'll just take everything that I just said there as the prologue to the reading here. Neptune, if you think of Neptune energy, let's get into it here just a little bit. Basic stuff. Sorry, let me go over here. Neptune is the planet of universal love. It represents love in the purest sense. Love that doesn't judge. Love that is unconditional. It would be the love, let's say you are a mother and you were born and you gave birth to a child who has, let's say, Down's syndrome or something. And you love the child anyway. Some parents can't handle that, but some parents can. You love anyway. It's unconditional. Now, if you take it too far, the Neptune Pisces 12th house energy can be very self-destructive, very sacrificial, to the point where you're harming yourself. But a lot of people who are built with natural compassion, they don't know that they are compassion junkies. And they don't often know that they are constantly depleting their love, their tank, their gas tank full of love, in order to extend the healing and power of love to others. And they're just so naturally loving, it ends up becoming an act of martyrdom where you're actually harming yourself by helping and healing others. And that's not good. That's not healthy. And it's so difficult. It's so hard to recognize with the Pisces energy, because the ultimate intent is love. And when I see people who are suffering from the unhealthy aspects of Pisces energy, it's often in people who have depleted themselves without knowing it, and then they end up in tragic situations. They turn to fentanyl, alcohol, sex abuse, drug addiction, sex addiction, perversion, theft, lies, betrayal, homelessness. They get very, very sick. They get very self-destructive, or else they can turn the destruction on others. Gets very, very, the unhealthy expression of Pisces, Neptune, 12th house energy is very, very toxic. And to maintain the super ultra high frequencies of healthy Pisces, Neptune, 12th house energy is very, very difficult. But with these retrogrades here and here, you're given a chance to discover how, why, when, where, with whom, and when you can be your own worst enemy. And that can be very frequently in the world of relationships. You get it? So that's part of what I'm talking about with the Neptune retrograde. This is an excellent opportunity to discover where things are not working when it comes to compassion and being overly compassionate. Let's have a look. What's the situation? Okay, you got 10th house Pisces career. Yeah, you might be overly compassionate, overly accommodating to others in the career sector. And actually, in very, very deep, subtle ways, you might be undermining yourself. And that's not healthy, because you deserve to be healthy and happy as much as anyone else. Now, what's the situation? Let's have a look. Page of Wands. Okay, this might sound... I don't know how to put this. I hope this doesn't hurt your feelings, but as advanced as you are, including your abilities for like remote viewing, remote healing, psychic energy perceptions, the ability to be a psychic medium, to have real-time 3D, 5D, 7D, 11D conversations with Nadine, for example, with Path Traveler. In your own way, in your own sweet, innocent way, as a three-dimensional 3D body, the physical body of you, dear necessary truth, there is still so much to learn in the path forward, in the journey forward in life. Even though you're extremely advanced in other aspects of life. And it might be, again, I'm going to default back to the chart. it might be that the learning experience could be something to do with this, where you realize, my God, I am very compassionate. And that would be very natural for you, but am I actually hurting myself in the path of compassion? How do I prioritize myself without let's say, demeaning the other people or putting others below me without hurting them? Well, if you look at it this way, it might sound like contradictory, but the best thing you can do is to, in this reading, is to deliberately prioritize the self and just take, this sounds awful, but just take my word for it, that this is good for you, and then proceed forward on the understanding that you might not have a lot of experience at prioritizing yourself, okay, over others in your relationships, over others in your career. And I'm not saying you have to be mean and selfish. All I'm suggesting is you have to have an awareness of the bigger picture. You cannot live a life where you're just constantly depleting the self, because it's self-destructive, okay? So no matter how advanced you are, there's always more to learn. So right now, the situation is that I look at this as a golden opportunity to head on that Aries North Node path and learn how to enjoy it, go on a voyage of discovery, and even though you might not have a roadmap or anything, because it might be fairly new for you, and just be willing to have the nerve to step forward one tiny step at a time and see where it leads. Let's see. What's the challenge here? Okay. It might be that with the Ace of Cups here, you might be very, and this is going to sound very extreme, very weird in a reading like this. It's like, I don't know how to put this without hurting your feelings. I hope you don't have your feelings hurt, but I don't know how to say it to make me feel as though I'm going to hurt your feelings if I... Damn it. So, what this reading is telling me is that you're at a point of critical mass in life, where if you take a snapshot of your life in your world, the people in your career, the people in your personal life, wherever this thing, this beast of a transit lies in your chart, it's telling you to go forward over here at the 28-degree mark of Aries, okay? So if you want to, look at your astrology and find the Aries 28-degree point, and that's where the focus needs to be. Now we can work on that another time if you want. But anyway, the point is that you might be frightened that, oh my God, that's crazy, TL. If I prioritize me, myself, I, above the others, then I may lose love. I may never receive love. I may never be loved. Okay? To me, personally, as TL, your reader, that sounds absurd. That sounds like just silly. That's just being silly. Okay? You're just being silly. You're not going to lose. You're not going to be deprived of the healing power of love from up above into your body, mind, heart, and soul just because you prioritize the self. No. It's still there anyway. In fact, what you're doing is making yourself stronger and more able to receive more of the healing power of love than ever before, which enhances your ability to be an even better version of yourself than you are now. Okay? Anyway, let's see. How are we going to do this? Because this might sound mentally very daunting and highly contradictory. Okay? Let's have a look. How are we going to deal with this moving forward? So we got this. Okay, it's a team effort. Team effort. Okay, necessary truth. The best way forward is to enlist your favorite people, people that you love and trust, and let's say, admit to the situation, admit to the reality of what I'm seeing here, and figure out how are we going to do this. Like, you understand that in order to move forward, it's a team thing. You can't, like, put it this way, okay, in a very simplistic term, it takes team effort to build the cathedral, the monastery, the abbey, the castle. You need the architects and the designers and the inspiration, and you need the artisans to do the manifestation. You need both, okay? And so what I'm sensing here in the physical reality is that it's almost like it's foolish and silly to think that you can be everything all at once. And it's almost like to cure yourself, you might want to enlist. Okay, this is like, how am I going to say this? If you can, whenever you reach a point where this reading resonates with you, like, oh, okay, like next week or next month or next year, like, oh my God, I remember that reading from TL. Oh my God, I know what he's talking about now. I totally get it. The best thing you could do is whenever you feel like the jitters about, oh my God, I realize what happens when I deliberately or accidentally or out of sheer inexperience, I default to the unhealthy aspect and I neglect to prioritize the self, then it's a form of self-harm. So when that happens, what I'm suggesting is reach out immediately. Contact your best buddies. Get in touch with John, Chris, Nadine, anybody in your world immediately. Send a text, send a phone call, and say, listen, it would just be the same thing as the artisan reaching out to the architect and saying, listen, architect man, I know what you're trying to do here, but I need very accurate descriptions about what to do and how to do it. I mean, I can get the walls built and everything like that, but if I don't see the charts, the maps, the building plans and everything in front of me, how am I supposed to do that? So please clarify the situation. You can reach out and ask the community here, for example. And then if you want to flip it around, let's say you're in a point of inspiration, you could ask others, how can I implement what I know has to be done? I'm not sure what to do or how to do it on my new path forward. Dun, 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 dun. Okay? So it's a process. It's a team effort. Don't try to do this on your own. It's a learning experience. Hang out with people that are very, very healthy and supportive of you. Don't be shy to reach out and get help. Okay? Instead of everybody reaching out to you to get help from you, flip it around. Admit your innocence. Admit there's a lot to learn in life. And it's okay for you to reach out and get help, support. Another Beatles song. Hey. All right, necessary. I hope that helped you. Oh, I get by with a little help. I can't sing it because my channel will get flagged for copyright infringement. Thank you. Now, Tina, you are up. Gosh, I hope that reading makes sense, necessary. Now, I have to tell you, necessary, that I can sometimes often feel a very vivid presence of Chris or John and even Pat now. What I felt is that all three of them were here, but they were very much off to the side, mostly just not even like as a support team, but just there as out of professional courtesy. You know, like when you watch a show or a news item about a president or a leader, and there's the leader in the middle on a podium with a microphone, and there's a bunch of people over to the left, a bunch of people over the right, and they all stand there with their uniforms, and they look very important, but they're not actually doing anything. That's what I sensed was happening here tonight, okay? All right, so necessary, that's what I sensed. They're here, and their presence is important, but I didn't get that very vivid type of interaction, camaraderie. All right, Tina, we're up here. Let's have a look. All right, that's looking pretty good. I'm going to do this a few more times. Okay. Tina, I'm just going to have to do one more pass, okay? I just need one more, okay, Tina? Here we go. That's good. That's good, good stuff. All right. Tina, you're up. That's it for the show tonight. No more readings. Just going to put that there. No more readings tonight after Tina. Put that there. I would love to do more if I could, but I have to be very careful these days. Cheers, Tina. All right, cards are well shuffled. Let's go for it. All right, what kind of messages do we have here for Tina tonight? Now, I think if I recall from the chat earlier, you were just having to take it very gently for the last few days. You were sleeping a lot. That can actually be a very healing thing, okay? It's probably a good idea that you followed your body. It could also, sometimes when people feel really down, they can just curl up. But again, we are organisms, and I'm sure you've seen it in pets and animals and wildlife. When they are either threatened or tired or exhausted or they need a break, they will just sequester themselves somewhere safe, quiet, and private and just curl up in a ball and effectively just go unconscious. Because it's very, very important. Sleep is so, so important for healing. Okay? If you felt like, oh, I was wasting so much time, or like, I didn't know what else to do, or maybe I'm just a manic depressive, I don't see it that way. I just see it as sleep. The word sleep is what it is. If it was something else, you would have written something else. All right, let's have a look. Let's see what's going on. What kind of messages do we have here for Tina tonight? Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle things. Let's have a look at the external influences. You've probably guessed it. I am going to default to the planets, but you never know. Let's have a look. So we've got the Six of Wands here. Now, I'm not going to be as simplistic as you might imagine. This is a card of victory, and it's well-deserved victory. Now, what I'm saying is that even though you might not be sensing, okay, sensing I guess the winning energy. Okay, I just saw something. You forgot about Neptune retrograde conjoined your sun in the 12th. Okay. Kaboom. Yeah, that's an indication that you need to be very, very kind to yourself. Extremely kind to yourself when the body tells you. Hold on, I gotta sort this out. I need to be able to see that better. Okay. All right. So what I'm seeing here with the Six of Wands is the energy of victory and success, finally. Okay? So I don't know if you ever worked in sales or marketing, Tina, but I'm going to share something with you that I had to learn the hard way. There was a time when I had to work in sales and marketing just to get a paycheck. I had recently come out of a hospital and I was totally disabled. I was in a wheelchair and I had catheters, and this was back in the early 90s. And my life was pretty much destroyed. I lost everything. Everything. But I was still alive, and luckily I had enough friends to help me, and people carried me and moved me around to other places where I could live. So I lived with different friends in their houses on their sofas while they allowed me to sort of crawl around and eat food and heal my body. But when I was strong enough to actually get up and start to walk around, I just wanted to get back to work. And the only thing I could find, I couldn't do physical work anymore, so I had to be with a desk or a phone or something. I ended up getting a job as a sales rep on the phone, booking appointments for a replacement window company back in Cincinnati, Ohio. And from the moment I started, I thought, oh, this is really cool. This is kind of fun. I can do this. I started making the calls. They give you all these hot lists of names, and I would chat to people on the phone. Some people would just hang up on you. Get the off my phone. Go away, you dick. Some people were like, hello, who are you? What do you want? You want to replace my windows? Why? You get everything. And then some people would say, oh my God, I know what you're talking about. My windows are a pile of shit. I'm just scared because it's probably, thousands of dollars. And I would go, oh, well, actually, yeah, it is, but it's not as bad as you think. And anyway, I had to become the salesperson. Now, I wouldn't be selling the windows over the phone. I'd be selling the idea that, hey, have you ever thought of actually getting one of our representatives over to your house, and you could get a quotation? They'll check everything in the house, find out the best deal, your best options. Sir? Oh, by the way, can I ask you very politely, are you the decision maker? You have to do all these things, For example, over here, every few months, somebody's knocking on the door on this house saying, hey, have you got solar? Do you want solar? Well, guess what? Let me show you Anyway, the point is, what I learned from my boss was that you have to assume the win. You have to assume the sale. You have to go in already believing that the customer or the potential customer or client is going to be really happy that you called and that they're going to buy the windows. And they're going to book the appointment. And the rep is going to go into the house and close the deal for thousands of dollars, and they'll put the windows in, and everyone's happy, and I get my nice fat commission. And guess what? It worked. The thing is, you have to be able to put up with the realization that not everyone's going to say yes. You just got to keep knocking on the doors and not take it personally when someone goes or like, I don't want to know, like they almost signed the deal and at the very last second they just walk away, and everything translates into failure. So let me get back to your reading. This reading's all about you. With the Six of Wands here, my feeling is that if you're not used to it, Tina, it's time to sort of switch hats a little bit. Almost turn yourself into your own coach, your own best buddy, your own team leader, the person who wants you to succeed, such that whenever you feel yourself like going under, like, oh God, I have to wait another week for this. Oh my God, I'm having to spend money on that while I have to wait for that. Oh God, this is so tedious. I feel like I'm losing because I'm not winning. Everyone loves to win. It feels really, really good. You get your dopamine, you get your endorphins, you get celebrated and appreciated. Me, Aries, winning, achieving. Aries, North Node. Time for Tina to be a winner and feel like a winner. But to get there, it's almost like you have to go through self-training to be like a used car salesperson. Really successful used car salespersons or new car salespersons know that they have to close a deal in order to get paid. So that's what they do. And they know that a lot of the times when somebody walks in the door to the car shop, a lot of the times the person's going to walk out there saying, no, I was just looking, thanks. But still, the salesperson has to assume the win. They have to assume they win the sale. Okay? That's what I'm sensing here. It's time for that to happen for you now. So to me, wherever the Aries 28 degrees point is lying in your chart, that's where you have to focus on being the winner, being the leader, being the achiever, no matter what goes on over here in terms of like stress, failure, losses, defunct, tedious relationships that are less than optimal. You have to think forward, go first. Okay? All right, so let's have a look. What's the situation itself? King of Cups. In order for this to work the way it's supposed to work, the way I described it, where you have to be your own cheerleader, you have to be your own coach, okay? It has to come from, let's say, a very, very determined, very, very capable, how am I going to phrase this? Almost like a superpower ability to love the self above and beyond the call of duty. The King of Cups is the expert, the master. They have achieved mastery in how love works, how the healing power of love works, how it is received, how it is owned, how it is secured, maintained, and how it is dispersed and shared and disseminated. Okay? This is the master. This is the expert. So for this to happen successfully, it's time for a tune-up. Okay, Tina? It's time for a tune-up to realize that this energy is very, very important to tune into right now. So with the diagnosis that we're doing here, with the Neptune retrograde, the Saturn retrograde, the Pluto retrograde, and the Venus retrograde, this is a great opportunity to discover where, when, why, where, how, and with whom am I letting myself down in such a way that this is less than optimal inside of me. In other words, I might be depleting myself like a drain without even knowing it. I cannot maintain this optimal level of love as a force in my life without doing what I just talked about over here. The King of Cups does not apologize for being the master, the leader, the expert, the epitome of success when it comes to love. Okay? No apologies. The King energy is not going to diminish themselves because someone else can't handle that. So again, this might sound like a weird, contradictory type of reading, Tina. So what's the problem here? Okay, so Ace of Pentacles. So you might, because of all the intense delays and frustrations that come with retrogrades naturally feeling, you might be feeling like, oh my God, all the golden opportunity of wealth, money, finance, success, stability, sacred. Let's see if the camera, you see that little thing in the background there? It's through that archway, the beautiful mountains there, the new horizon where the home is and all of that stuff. you might feel that is just so far away that it's not even attainable. Like, what was I thinking? That's just a feeling. That's fear, because my feeling is that you're wrestling with what I talked about inside of you here, coming to terms with the things that are not working with you in your life in ways that need to be optimal, because you might not have ever thought of yourself in the way that I'm talking about here. You might not have ever had to think of yourself like, wow, I have to be my own coach. I have to be my own cheerleader. I have to remind myself that I have to attain and maintain mastery. And then, without being, overly confident, I have to assume and believe and know that I will achieve, I will win. I am a winner. But there might be some extreme doubt here, because the material aspects of your situation might be weighing on you, like, oh, matter. We're talking about time, money, physical energy, the environment, locations, people, relationships, all these things that are physically very valuable and very, very important. They might feel as though, like, oh my God, it's so freaking far away. Damn. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick. Okay, so how are we going to deal with this? Because a lot of this is to do with state of mind. Okay, this energy here is very, very much to do with the state of mind. This is to do with the state of heart, but they have to work together as a team. How are we going to move forward? You're going to have to be very stealthy. It's almost like you're going to have to brainwash yourself. Okay, Tina? Now, I wish I remembered the titles. If Love Triber's here, she might know. She's very gifted at these things. She knows a lot about books and writers and self-help and all that stuff. But with the Seven of Swords here, my feeling is that you're going to have to be very, very crafty at figuring out how to do this and be this without shame or embarrassment. And there are self-help books out there with knowledge and wisdom. I don't know how can I. Give me a second here, Tina. I have to check in with you personally like this, okay? What I'm sensing is that I can't remember the names of these books, but it's like something like, the titles would be something like, How to Be Your Most Awesome Self. Have you been your own worst enemy? Take the first step to being number one. The How and Why Book of Success. Number 2. How to Be the Best Salesman. I don't know. I learned a lot of stuff from books. Tina, I consumed so many books on how to save myself, because I was so far down in the sewer of self-destruction, and I had to dig myself up and out, and every day I have to do maintenance to make sure I don't go down into a massive sinkhole of misery and self-pity and wallowing in loss and failure and like, oh, my life is so poopy. So with the Seven of Swords, to me it sounds like it's to do with words, written words that come off the page, that put things in very clear, defined ways that I can't really do on the reading here. And it might take a refresher course. I don't know which book or who could provide it or something. But typically in a situation like this, I would maybe go to a bookstore or a library physically. I don't know, you're about, what do you say, like an hour from Albuquerque or something like that. Go into a library or something. Make a special trip out of it. Literally, like, break the spell. Somehow we got to break the spell of the Neptune, all the retrograde energies, and take advantage of it. Flip that energy round. What I'm sensing here is a trip to the library, a trip to a bookstore, where you can get your hands on some of these books and flip open pages. This is what I used to do. I would just gorge and gorge on these books. And when I found a book that resonated, I would get it. And then I would gorge on that book. And it always helped me. And you would find like buzzwords, key lines, attitudes that are all spelled out for you. And it kindles the whole idea that I talked about in the very beginning, where you assume the win, you assume the sale. You believe in your own success before you even got it. It's basically becoming a winner. It's not easy, but anyway. I have to do the right thing without pissing off people. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, with the Seven of Swords, it means having to be very, very clever. Very, very clever about how you move forward through this, let's say, fog, mist, or with all these retrogrades. The retrogrades are the most amazing time for learning and growing and diagnosing, finding out what's not working so that you can figure out what needs to be done to get things working. Now, I had a conversation. Hold on, let me do this. It's happened already a few times tonight. But I've been working with another friend. Here's what I learned. Okay, Tina, I'm going to share this with you because it is incredibly important. And I have a post-it note. And I learned this quite a while ago. And every time I forget about it, I really regret it. But here's this little list. I forgot about it, but it's been sitting here in the studio, and it was nothing to do with the show tonight. This was to do with some coaching I was doing with a friend of mine. And what came up was that, my dear, dear, dear friend, you have to understand this thing that I learned. And here it goes. You have to be very, very careful about what you say, who you say it to, when you say it, where you say it, why you say it, and how you say it. Words, swords, intelligent energy, information communicated through the words. The pen is mightier than the sword. You just put in your notes, I got to do the right thing without pissing people off. So it means we're taking some kind of self-evaluation, Tina, where you have to start to become extremely consciously aware about who are you speaking to, what exactly you're saying, when are you saying it, where are you saying it, why and how. Sometimes it's better than not to say anything. But the reason I learned this from someone who, I'm just going to tell you, I learned this from Bill Clinton. Now, to me, Bill Clinton is a piece of doo-doo, but he learned the hard way. He was impeached and removed from office because he lied. He said the wrong things to the wrong people at the wrong time, at the wrong place, for the wrong reasons. Okay? And it's to do with that sleazy little affair he had in the White House. Just that sleazy affair cost him his job as President of America. And so what he learned from that, the most important lesson that he ever learned in his life as a to me, a sleazeball politician who sold out America, you got to be careful with your words. Very, very, very crafty, very thoughtful, extremely careful with your words so that they don't backfire on you and then they actually work in your favor, so you can actually get what you want, get what you need to succeed, okay? So be careful. I should have put this one first. I like to say it this way. Be careful what you say, when you say it, where you say it, why you say it, who you say it to, and how you say it. Basically, it's who, what, when, why, where, how. Those 6 items. Incredibly important. Okay, so I'm going to attach that to the 7 of Swords. Okay, there you go. So that's your reading, Tina. I hope that helps you. Actually, I have to shuffle all this and put it away now. A lot of times when there's awkwardness and difficulties in the work environment, a lot of it can be traced back to the words. What did you say? Who did you say it to? When did you say it? Where, how, why, when? Who, what, when, where, why, how? Who, what, when, where, why, how? Words can be very powerful, very damaging, very confusing, very painful, very disruptive, very healing. So you have to be incredibly, I think the keynote from the reading is that anyway, I'm not going to say anything more. Sorry, I'll just end up wallowing in the mud. So I've got to be careful. So I'm going to shut up now. That's your reading, Tina. I'm going to put this on the screen again once more. Very, 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 very important. Got to be careful of all of that. I only put that on the little post-it note so I remembered that I would have clarity during my coaching session with that person. But the way to do this properly would be write it out on a big piece of paper, stick it on the refrigerator. I have to be very careful. I, Tina Miller, have to be very, very careful from now onwards of what I say, who I say it to, when I say it, where I say it, why I say it, and how I say it. That requires, gosh, I'm sorry, it's very, very tough to do. It really, really is tough. To hold that in your consciousness in the workplace when you are used to having a certain way of conversing and communicating with people. Gosh. And now realizing, wow, I gotta fix this. I gotta fix this. Only you can do that, Tina. Thank you so much. Thank you all tonight for your kindness, your generosity, your patience. I'm going to put that here for fun. Oh, boy. Thank you, Starsy. Thank you very much. Yeah, sometimes we get situations here where I'm working with, one of you, and we're doing a live mini reading, and then there's a bunch of people in the room. Sometimes, it's just a very few people. Sometimes there's lots of people. You never know who's going to show up or not. And then somebody writes in and says, "Oh my God, that reading was for me too." TL, thank you. That reading was for me too. Okay? Tina, I'll show you the list again. Here it is. I have to go over. Give me a second. I got to go over to the stage. I need to be very careful in what's the phrase? I got to see that. I got to think. I got to keep it as simple as possible. In fact, it might be an idea to write out the whole thing. I need to be careful of what I say, who I say it to, when I say it, where I say it, why I say it, how I say it. It's incredibly important. Who, what, when, why, where, how. Okay. Actually, in the old days, traditional journalists use this as one of their standard operating procedures. Got to get the facts. Okay, sir, ma'am, I want the story. I need to know who, what, when, why, where, how. Who was it who did this? What happened? When did it happen? Where did it happen? Why did it happen? How did it happen? I just need the facts. But this is for you, Tina. This is for you to sharpen your skills with communications so that you become fully responsible and very careful about what you say, who you say it to, when you say it, where you say it, why you say it, and how you say it. Okay? So that's the list. Okay? All right. Thank you so much, everybody. I think we're going to wrap it up here. We've been here for 2.5 hours. That's a long time. We got places to go, things to do, people to see, lives to live. It was wonderful having you all here. And we'll do this again. I'm not sure what to do. I'm thinking about Path Traveler right now and her participation and the obituary, but anyway. Cat, oh yeah. Meow. Let me just... Well, they're not here right now, but there's Boo Boo, there's Bonnie, and there's Bubba. They're not really my cats. They have a mother. But I'm like a custodian. I'm like a little caretaker. So I do the feeding, grooming, pampering. They basically own me. They own my whole life. Sometimes Bubba likes to get up on the stage and prance around and dig around, see what's going on. He's a very inquisitive fellow. He can't help himself. He loves to be at the center of things. But anyway, thank you for asking. I'm going to say farewell now. But if I stop this here, Tina is only going to get like half of her reading. So what I'm going to do is play my TarotLumination new Second Amendment song. And it's about 3.5 minutes. And honestly, the stream is so delayed that I might even have to play another song after that. Hey, Elizabeth, I didn't know you were here. Thank you very much. Okay, well, let me find my song first. I got to find it first, and then I can play it for you. Let's see. There it is. Here we go. Now, this is a very rough song. It sounds old-fashioned and kind of folksy and stuff. And it's about the American Constitution and my feelings about the Constitution and the Second Amendment rights to defend ourselves and protect ourselves, okay? Elizabeth just got here. Oh, precious moments! I didn't know you were here. I'm just wrapping it up, so I'm going to say good night now. I'm going to play this song, and if the stream still doesn't line up with the exit point, then I'll play another song, okay? Toodaloo! Let me make sure it starts playing. Okay, I'm calling this my 2A song. It's from TarotLumination. It's pretty rough, but I hope you get something out of it. When will I stop being censored? All I'm doing is speaking the truth. Instead I'm labeled as a domestic terrorist extremist with a short fuse. The fake news just lies and suppresses. The Marxists are writing the scripts. The unaware masses get led to their slaughter while patriots try to resist.
Oh, you can't take me down and you can't shut me up. I got the First Amendment by right. And if the first one is threatened, I've still got the second. I won't go down without a fight. Yes, we still have our sweet Constitution, but it's severely being abused. Our only solution is a new revolution to take back what belongs to you and me. I'm sick of the perverts and pedos trying to normalize child sacrifice. They revel in evil and their satanic rituals packaged in their delicious lies. No, you can't take me down and you can't shut me up. I got the First Amendment by right. And if the first one is threatened, I've still got the second. I won't go down without a fight. It all began way back on 4th of July in 1776. The founders and fighters gave their lives for our freedom. I don't want to live through that again. You see, I'm recalling a past life from that exact time. I shed blood to shake off the chains of the tyrants and despots who owned us like cattle. But if I have to, I'll fight them again. Oh, you can't take me down and you can't shut me up. I got the First Amendment by right. And if the first one is threatened, I've still got the second. I won't go down without a fight. No, you can't take us down and you can't shut us up. We got the First Amendment by right. And if the first one is threatened, we've still got the second. We won't go down without a fight. There, I hope you liked it.
There we go. I'm still talking here. I'm still here. I can see that the stream is extremely delayed. So I'm going to play another song. It's an old TarotLumination song. And what's it going to be? I'm going to Through the Ether. I'm going to play a song called Through the Ether. This is for Nadine, Path Traveler, because she's now hanging out with us through the ether.
Through the ether. Laying up and around in our mountains, in our seas and our forests, with all of our stones, exploring one another, pushing our boundaries like new lovers. And you comfort me through the ether, and you tell me, I can tell that you're worried about me. And you assure me through the ether that we're okay, everything is gonna be okay. That you're holding my hand all the way. Our innocence is becoming so apparent in our magnificence at the same time too. With your permissions and our shared ambitions, we get the chance to discover our own truths. and you comfort me.